Responding to an incident on the water is not as simple as getting dressed, climbing aboard a fire engine, and responding to the incident. There are many more factors to consider. Failure to follow proper procedures could lead to injury, damage to equipment, or the vessel itself, and possibly rendering the vessel unable to respond at all. This could result in leaving victims in peril, awaiting agencies further away to render aid. Given a lecture with visual aids and handouts, the student will prepare Marine 229 for response and return to service. Given instruction, the student will identify the personal flotation device to be used upon boarding Marine 229 based on weather conditions and activities to be performed. Given instruction and visual aids, the student identifies various forms of communication aboard Marine 229. Given instruction and visual aids, the student identifies and recognizes the components on the pre-deployment checklist in accordance with SOP 2.087. Given instruction and visual aids, the student identifies and recognizes the components of the return to service checklist in accordance with SOP 2.087. These are some basic terms to familiarize yourself with for working aboard Marine 229. No fewer than 2 qualified marine operators shall be aboard any Norwalk Fire Department vessel during emergency operations, training evolutions, patrols, or responses. For planned events or periods of elevated operational risk, additional personnel may be assigned based on operational needs. The senior qualified marine operator shall serve as the operator in charge of the vessel. While operational decisions will generally be made collaboratively between qualified marine operators, the operator in charge retains final authority for navigation and vessel operations as they relate to the safety of the vessel and its crew. In the event of any uncertainty or dispute regarding designation of the operator in charge, the deputy chief shall determine the operator in charge for that operational period. Wearing a personal flotation device is a mandatory safety requirement, not optional. PFDs must be worn whenever personnel are aboard the vessel, regardless of the mission or weather conditions. The type of PFD should be appropriate for the operational environment and properly fitted to the individual. Approved flotation aid apparel provides the same required level of flotation while offering additional protection or mobility for specific operations. The goal is simple. If someone unexpectedly enters the water, they already have flotation immediately available. Every person aboard a department vessel is required to wear a U.S. Coast Guard approved personal flotation device whenever the vessel is underway or when operating where there is a risk of entering the water. The type of PFD selected should be appropriate for the mission, weather conditions, and operational environment. Traditional foam life jackets provide continuous buoyancy and require no activation. Inflatable PFDs offer greater comfort and mobility, but must be properly armed, inspected, and maintained before each use. Float coats and flotation work vests provide buoyancy while also offering protection from the elements, making them well suited for routine patrol and response operations. During cold weather operations, protective equipment such as the Mustang Sentinel dry suit helps reduce the risk of hypothermia, but does not replace the requirement to wear a U.S. Coast Guard approved PFD. Regardless of the type of PFD worn, it must be properly fitted, secured, and in good working condition before getting underway. Personnel are responsible for inspecting their PFD before each use and immediately reporting any damage or deficiencies. Marine 229 carries multiple flotation devices and cold water protective systems to support different operational environments. Personnel shall select equipment based on environmental conditions and operational risk under the direction of the officer in charge. All flotation devices must be properly fitted, inspected, and worn correctly prior to getting underway. The float coat is a United States Coast Guard approved Type 3 PFD that combines flotation with thermal protection. Unlike an inflatable PFD, it provides buoyancy immediately and does not require activation. The coat also helps reduce heat loss during accidental cold water immersion, although it is not a suitable substitute for a dry suit in extreme conditions. Its design allows personnel to work comfortably on deck while maintaining protection from the elements. The float coat should be properly zipped, secured, and inspected before each use to ensure it provides the intended level of protection. MU229 carries both inflatable and non-inflatable work vests. The inflatable Type V vest is popular because it's lightweight and comfortable for extended wear, but it must be inspected before each use to ensure the CO2 cylinder is installed correctly and the inflator is armed. The non-inflatable Type 3 vest provides flotation immediately without any action by the wearer and requires less maintenance. Both vests are appropriate for routine boat operations when worn in accordance with department policy and the manufacturer's instructions. Members should be familiar with the inspection, adjustment, and operation of the type of vest they are wearing before getting underway. The Mustang Sentinel is our primary cold weather protective suit. Its purpose is to keep the wearer dry and significantly reduce heat loss if they accidentally enter the water. This is not a flotation device. It does not replace the requirement to wear a personal flotation device. Personnel shall wear a Coast Guard approved PFD over the dry suit at all times while underway or when working on deck. Before each use, inspect the suit for damage, ensure the zipper is fully closed, and verify that the neck and wrist seals are intact. The suit should be selected whenever water and air temperatures create an increased risk of cold water immersion or hypothermia. The Ice Commander Rescue Suit is designed for extreme cold water and ice rescue operations, where survivability depends on both flotation and thermal protection. It provides full body protection to significantly slow heat loss during immersion. The suit is intended for rapid deployment and allows rescuers to operate on or near ice and in frigid water environments. The 5-finger insulated gloves improve dexterity while maintaining hand warmth, which is critical for operating equipment and assisting victims. After use, the suit must be thoroughly inspected, cleaned, and properly dried to maintain integrity and performance. MU229 utilizes 2 VHF marine radios, 1 VHF NFD radio, 1 UASI radio, and AIS for vessel identification and tracking. The following slides will break down each system individually, including how and when they are used during operations. MU229 is equipped with 2 VHF marine radios. One radio is dedicated to channel 16, which is used exclusively for hailing, distress, and emergency communications. Channel 16 should only be used to establish initial contact. Once communication has been established, vessels should immediately switch to a designated working channel and keep channel 16 available for emergency traffic. The second radio is configured to scan 4 channels, including 3 primary working channels, 22 alpha, 13, and 14. It also monitors the programmed National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Weather Channel to provide continuous weather updates and alerts. Channel 22 Alpha is the primary U.S. Coast Guard working channel and is typically assigned after initial contact is made on Channel 16. Channel 13 is the bridge-to-bridge navigation channel. It is used when communicating with drawbridges and is required when requesting bridge openings north of Veterans Park. Channel 14 is the primary on-scene tactical channel. It is used for coordination between Marine units and other responding fire, rescue, or law enforcement vessels operating within the incident area. Norwalk Police Department Marine units utilize the UASI radio system for inter-unit communications. If communications on Channel 14 are ineffective, coordination with police units may need to be established through the UASI system. The VHF NFD radio is used for communication with dispatch on fire main and the on-duty deputy chief. It is used in conjunction with First Due to monitor and track incident activity. Notify Norwalk Dispatch on Channel 1 Fire Main when going in service and when secured at the dock. Upon initiation of any emergency marine response, Marine 229 shall establish communications with dispatch and the on-duty deputy chief. When operating with land-based companies, units shall switch to the assigned ops channel for incident coordination. When available and appropriate, hailing may be conducted on the UASI Regional Marine Talk Group in accordance with regional interoperability procedures, while VHF Channel 16 remains the primary marine distress and hailing frequency. Norwalk Police Marine units utilize the UASI Regional Marine Zone for interoperable communications. If coordination on VHF Channel 14 is ineffective or additional interoperability is required, communications with police units should be established using the UASI radio. To communicate with Norwalk Police, ensure the UASI radio is set to the U1 Regional Marine Zone and select the R1 UASI Police Talk Group. The Automatic Identification System, AIS, provides real-time tracking and identification of vessels in the operating area. It displays key information including vessel position, speed, heading, and identification data. On Marine 229, AIS is used to enhance situational awareness, monitor surrounding vessel traffic, and support safe navigation during routine operations, emergency responses, and periods of limited visibility. Control, trading evolution, or emergency response, the crew should perform a GAR risk assessment. GAR stands for Green, Amber, Red. It's a simple but effective risk management tool used by the U.S. Coast Guard and many public safety marine units to evaluate the overall level of operational risk before getting underway. The assessment looks at several categories that can affect safety: pre-mission planning and on-scene details, event or mission complexity, crew considerations such as experience, fatigue, and supervision, complexity of the mission, event or mission evolution, and environmental conditions such as weather, visibility, and sea state. Each category is assigned a numerical score. The scores are added together to determine the overall risk level. Green indicates a low risk and the mission can proceed. Amber indicates moderate risk. The crew should discuss ways to reduce the risk before continuing. Red indicates a high-risk operation that requires command-level review or modification of the mission before proceeding. The GAR process is designed to encourage discussion among the crew and ensure everyone has an opportunity to identify hazards before they become problems. Remember that the GAR score is not a substitute for good judgment. Conditions can change rapidly on the water, so the assessment should be updated whenever circumstances change during the operation. The goal of the GAR assessment is not to prevent us from completing the mission. It helps us complete the mission as safely as possible by identifying risks early and reducing them whenever possible. Prior to getting underway, notify dispatch and inform them that Marine 229 is in service or responding, depending on the situation. If you're with an engine company, advise dispatch that your company is out of service. Example: Engine 3 is out of service at the docks. Marine 229 is in service. The key box is located in the starboard stern compartment and provides access to vessel entry keys. Assigned personnel know the code. Inspect the battery meter to ensure shore power is actively charging the batteries. If the meter does not indicate a charge, verify shore power connection and associated switches are properly engaged. The toggle switch located on the starboard forward side of the cabin may occasionally be switched off inadvertently. If the battery meter is not charging, confirm the switch is in the on position. Before disconnecting the shore power cord from Marine 229, first place the 30 amp shore power breaker in the off position. This prevents electrical arcing that could damage the shore power connection, onboard electronic equipment, or cause injury to personnel. Once the breaker has been turned off and power has been secured, The shore power cord may safely be disconnected from the vessel. Once the shore power cord has been disconnected, turn the battery selector switch to the on position. This transfers the vessel's electrical system from shore power to the onboard batteries, ensuring that all essential equipment, including radios, navigation electronics, bilge pumps, and other critical systems, remain powered before getting underway. With the vessel now operating on battery power, turn the cabin breaker, also labeled house, to the on position. This energizes the vessel's house electrical system, supplying power to the cabin lighting, electronics, and other onboard accessories needed for normal operation. Turning the house breaker on at this point ensures the vessel's electrical systems are brought online in the proper sequence and allows the operator to verify that everything is functioning as expected before starting the engines and getting underway. If any breakers trip or equipment fails to power up, it should be investigated before leaving the dock. Test the bilge pumps to verify they are operating properly. Bilge pumps remove water that accumulates in the vessel from rain, spray, or minor leaks. Confirming they are functional before departure helps ensure the vessel can effectively manage any water that enters the bilge during operations. Activate each bilge pump and verify that it runs properly. If possible, confirm that water is being discharged overboard through the appropriate discharge outlet. If a bilge pump fails to operate or does not discharge water as expected, the issue should be investigated and corrected before the vessel is placed in service. Lower outboard engines to prepare for vessel departure. Power must be on and keys turned to the on position to lower outboards. Listen for a change in pitch to ensure outboards are fully lowered. A functional check of throttle, steering, and engine response should be completed as part of pre-underway procedures. Start both outboard engines and allow them to begin warming up while the remaining pre-departure checks are completed. Warming the engines helps ensure smooth operation and reduces unnecessary wear before placing them under load. After each engine is started, verify that a steady stream of cooling water is discharging from the telltale, often referred to as the pisser, within approximately 30 to 60 seconds. The telltale confirms that the engine's cooling system is circulating water properly. If there is no discharge, shut the engine down and investigate the cause before getting underway. Operating an engine without adequate cooling water can quickly result in overheating and severe engine damage. Once both engines are running normally and cooling water flow has been confirmed, continue with the remaining startup checks. Obtain the latest marine weather and tidal information. This information should include the current and forecasted tide, wind speed and direction, sea state or wave height, visibility, and any active marine advisories or warnings. Having this information readily available allows the crew to anticipate changing conditions, make informed navigational decisions, and communicate important environmental information to responding personnel if needed. Environmental conditions on the water can change quickly. Reviewing this information before departure is an important part of the vessel's risk assessment and helps ensure the crew is prepared for the mission ahead. Before getting underway, record the current engine hours in the vessel's logbook and enter them in first due as part of the daily apparatus check. Documenting the engine hours provides an accurate record of vessel usage and helps track scheduled maintenance, inspections, and service intervals. It also creates an operational history that can be referenced if maintenance issues arise. Recording the hours before departure ensures the information is accurate and establishes a baseline for the day's operations. Upon returning to the dock, the ending engine hours should also be recorded to document the total operating time for the mission. Verify the vessel's fuel level to ensure there is sufficient fuel for the planned mission, including an adequate reserve for unexpected delays or extended operations. The fuel level should also be checked upon returning to the dock. If fuel is at or below 3/4, the vessel should be refueled before being placed back in service. The Norwalk Fire Department maintains fueling accounts at Norwalk Cove Marina and Rex Marine Center, allowing crews to refuel before returning to the station. Activate the emergency lights and running lights to verify they are operating properly. This confirms all lights are functional and ready if needed during an emergency response. Take a moment to visually inspect that all light heads are illuminating correctly and that there are no obvious malfunctions. Once the operational check is complete, return the emergency lights to the off position. They should only be activated while responding to an emergency or when otherwise appropriate for the operation. Performing this quick check before leaving the dock helps identify any equipment issues before they become a problem during an actual response. All required electronics must be powered on and confirmed operational before the vessel departs the dock. This includes navigation, communication, and safety-related systems. Radar may be left in standby mode when not actively scanning, but must be immediately available for use. Crew members should verify proper system status during pre-underway checks and report any deficiencies before getting underway. The goal is to ensure full situational awareness and operational readiness at all times while underway. All radios shall be turned on and continuously monitored while underway or on operations. Maintain assigned channel discipline at all times. Ensure proper volume and functionality prior to getting underway. Report any radio malfunctions immediately to the officer in charge. Now that we've covered how to prepare MU229 for getting underway, let's review the procedures for returning the vessel to service so it's ready for the next crew. If fuel is at or below 3/4, the vessel should be refueled before being placed back in service. The Norwalk Fire Department maintains fueling accounts at Norwalk Cove Marina and Rex Marine Center, allowing crews to refuel before returning to the station. After 1800 hours, both fuel docks are closed. If fuel is below 3/4 full, notify the officer on duty and document the fuel status on the apparatus notification board at Station 3 so the next crew is aware. As with any emergency apparatus, our goal is to return the vessel fully fueled, properly equipped, and ready to respond. Vessel shall be properly secured in its berth when not underway. Lines shall be correctly tensioned to prevent movement from wind or wake. Fenders shall be in place to protect hull and dock. Outboards and systems secured per post-operation checklist, and report any unsafe mooring conditions immediately. The vessel's logbook shall be completed prior to getting underway and upon return to service to ensure accurate documentation of all vessel operations. Report any damage, equipment malfunction, or out-of-service condition in First 2 and the vessel's logbook. If the condition affects the vessel's operational readiness or requires follow-up by the next crew, notify the oncoming crew whenever practical and post a temporary notification on the Station 3 apparatus status notification board until the issue has been resolved. If the fire pump was used during the operation, flush the pump in accordance with department procedures. Once the pump's been flushed, rinse any equipment that was exposed to salt water with fresh water before connecting and operating the flushmaster. Salt water is highly corrosive and can quickly damage pumps, hose couplings, valves, fittings, and other metal components if it is allowed to remain on the equipment. A thorough freshwater rinse helps remove salt deposits, extends the service life of the equipment, and reduces future maintenance costs. After the equipment has been rinsed, connect the flushmaster to flush the outboard engines with fresh water. This removes salt and other debris from the engine cooling passages, helping prevent corrosion, mineral buildup, and overheating. Taking a few extra minutes to properly flush and rinse the vessel after each use is one of the most important preventive maintenance steps we can perform to keep MU229 reliable and ready for service. After returning to the dock, use the Flushmaster system to flush the outboard engines. Connect the Flushmaster hoses to the Quick Connect fittings located on each outboard engine. Once connected, operate the Flushmaster for the preset flush cycle of 15 minutes. Flushing the engines after each operation removes salt, sediment, and other contaminants from the cooling system, helping to reduce corrosion, extend engine life, and ensure reliable performance. Before securing the vessel, ensure all onboard lights and electronic equipment are powered down in the proper sequence. Pay particular attention to the radar system. The radar must be shut down using its normal power off procedure before the battery switches are turned off. This allows the unit to complete its shutdown cycle and prevents an abrupt loss of power. Disconnecting battery power while the radar is still operating can damage the radar system, corrupt software settings, and reduce the service life of the equipment. Following the proper shutdown sequence protects the vessel's electrical systems, reduces unnecessary wear on expensive equipment, and ensures Marine 229 is ready for its next response. Once the vessel has been secured and placed back into a standby condition, turn the battery selector switches to the off position. This helps prevent unnecessary battery drain and ensures the electrical system is fully secured when the vessel is not in use. Depending on ambient temperature and seasonal conditions, verify that the appropriate heating systems are turned on prior to leaving the vessel unattended. Maintaining proper heat in cold weather conditions helps prevent freezing of critical systems, protects batteries and electronics, and ensures the vessel remains operational and ready for immediate response. Proper shutdown and environmental protection procedures are essential to preserving the reliability of Marine 229 and reducing avoidable maintenance issues. To begin restoring shore power, connect the shore power cord securely to Marine 229. Ensure the connection is fully seated and locked in place so there is no movement or exposure of electrical contacts to moisture or debris. This step must always be completed with the shore power breaker in the off position to prevent arcing or damage to electrical components during connection. Proper connection technique protects both personnel and equipment and ensures a safe transition back to shore power. After the shore power cord has been properly connected to Marine 229, the 30-amp shore power circuit breaker should be switched to the on position. This restores electrical power from the dock to the vessel and allows the onboard battery charger to begin charging the vessel's electrical system. Once the breaker is turned on, verify that the battery charging system is operating correctly and that the vessel is receiving shore power as indicated on the battery monitor or electrical display. This step should always be completed in this order: connection first, then energizing the circuit to reduce the risk of arcing, equipment damage, or injury. Inspect the battery meter to ensure shore power is actively charging the batteries. If the meter does not indicate a charge, verify shore power connection and associated switches are properly engaged. One item that's easy to overlook is the charging system toggle switch located on the starboard forward side of the vessel. This switch can occasionally be bumped or inadvertently left in the off position during routine operations or maintenance. Confirm that the switch is in the on position before assuming there is a charging system malfunction. A simple switch left off can mimic a charging problem and lead to unnecessary troubleshooting. Knowing this quick check can save time, prevent unnecessary maintenance requests, and keep Marine 229 in service. As part of the final return to service procedure, ensure all cabin doors, windows, and storage compartments are closed and securely locked. This helps protect department equipment from theft, weather, and accidental damage while the vessel is unattended. Both outboard engines should be stored in the fully raised position. Keeping the engines out of the water helps reduce marine growth, corrosion, and unnecessary wear while the vessel is at the dock. The exception is during freezing temperatures. When freezing conditions are expected, the engines should be stored in the down position so that any remaining water can drain from the cooling passages. This helps prevent water from freezing inside the engine and causing damage. Taking a few moments to properly secure the vessel at the end of each shift helps protect the equipment and ensures Marine 229 is ready for the next response. Once Marine 229 has been secured at the dock and all post-operation tasks have been completed, notify dispatch that Marine 229 is secured and that your engine company is back in service. Prompt communication with dispatch helps maintain situational awareness for dispatch and ensures the department's resource status is accurate at all times. Before we conclude, let's review the key points from today's training. First, personal flotation devices must be worn at all times while aboard Marine 229. Wearing a PFD is one of the most important measures we can take to protect ourselves on the water. Throughout all operations, VHF Channel 16 shall be monitored to maintain awareness of emergency marine traffic, and the Norwalk Fire Department's primary VHF channel shall also be monitored to ensure effective communication with dispatch and responding companies. The operator in charge is ultimately responsible for the safe operation of the vessel and the safety of everyone aboard. While decisions are often made collaboratively, the operator in charge has the final responsibility for navigation and operational decisions. Finally, both the deployment checklist and the return to service checklist must be understood and followed in the prescribed order. These procedures are designed to ensure consistency, reduce the likelihood of errors, protect department equipment, and maintain the vessel in a constant state of operational readiness. If everyone follows these key principles every time the vessel is operated, Marine 229 will remain safe, reliable, and ready to respond whenever our community needs us. By following these procedures, you will be prepared to safely place Marine 229 in service, operate it effectively, and return to service in a state of readiness for the next response. This checklist is more than a series of steps. It represents a systematic approach to safety, operational readiness, and equipment preservation. Every task, from checking the weather to shutting down the electronics properly, contributes to the reliability of the vessel and the safety of the crew. By following these procedures consistently, we ensure that Marine 229 is always ready to respond when our community needs us, and that it is returned in the same condition for the next crew.